Hello and welcome to Manger's Study. I am your host CJ and this is episode 9 on Project 2025. Today is the 6th of August 2024 and there are about 90 days until Election Day in 2024. Alright, after the controversial take that Project 2025 had on transgender military members from last episode, let's see if there will be anything terribly controversial this time around. We will be starting on page 103 or 136 of the PDF, beginning with eliminate politicization, reestablish trust and accountability, and restore faith to the force. Yeah, I'm sure nothing controversial will be in this one. First, Project 2025 wants us to know that only 45% of Americans have a great deal of trust and confidence in the military, down from 70% in 2018. To fix this, Project 2025 recommends that the U.S. strengthens protections for chaplains. I wasn't aware that this was something that is needed, but sure, why not? Project 2025 also wants to make sure that senior military officers know that their duty is to readiness and warfighting, not social engineering. Racial integrationists in the past would have had some issue with this, I'm sure, but then an argument could be made that integration was vital for wartime readiness. Then people could argue and counter-argue with this or that are good for readiness instead of being just for the sake of social engineering. But it just seems more like culture war stuff. Project 2025 wants to reinstate service members who were discharged for refusing the COVID vaccine, restoring their rank, and providing back pay. I have no real problem with that, although I can see some concern about whether or not an order to receive a vaccine is a lawful order or not. There's some iffy stuff in there. Project 2025 also wants to eliminate Marxist indoctrination and critical race theory programs in the military, as well as abolish DEI offices and staff. I wasn't aware of all that much Marxist indoctrination, but maybe that happened after they promoted Friedrich Engels to vice admiral. I'm not sure. I do recall from my time in the military that there was some, I guess you could call it, DEI stuff going on, and some stuff that could possibly be called critical race theory, but as far as I'm aware, that didn't have any effect on advancement for service members. My black coworkers didn't get extra points for being black, and everyone involved would have been offended to have heard that suggested. Project 2025 wants to restrict social media usage by the military to be strictly for recruitment and to discipline any service members using an official account to engage with civilian critics. Recruitment actually includes a lot of things that one might not think include recruitment, such as drafting news articles about this program or that. So perhaps Project 2025 should have just had a ban on the military from engaging with civilians, with the exception of providing recruitment information. I'm not sure. There's a lot of gray area in there, and I doubt that Project 2025 would want to really clarify that in any meaningful manner. Project 2025 wants to audit military academic courses to get rid of Marxist indoctrination. That's twice now they've mentioned this, so it must be very important to them. From what I can tell, this is really just going against like modern DEI training and requirements, things of that nature. I must wonder at the extent of this cultural Marxist infiltration of the U.S. military, but perhaps if Trump is elected as president, some Project 2025 people can get in there and get to the bottom of this infiltration. Project 2025 also wants to eliminate tenure for military academy professionals and apply the same rules to them as to every other contractor. Okay, whatever. Project 2025 also wants to reverse policies that allow transgender individuals to serve in the military, as transness is incompatible with military service somehow. The use of public money for transgender surgeries or for abortions, somehow those two things are related, for service members should also be ended according to Project 2025. I talked about the transgender issue last episode, but to repeat, in short, Project 2025 wants to keep out patriotic and capable people because of the culture war, basically. I don't remember the specifics, but back when I was in the Navy, I do remember public money being used to have one friend of mine get a vasectomy and another friend to get a breast augmentation. If those are allowed, why wouldn't other similar-ish procedures be allowed for transgender people? There are current rules about cosmetic surgeries and such being paid for by the military medical system, that is, by the taxpayer. And even if you think that transgender operations are more than just cosmetic, we should still all be able to agree that they should be covered at least as much as cosmetic operations. As for abortions, I can kind of understand the idea that abortions shouldn't be paid for by the federal government, especially if you think that abortion is murder. Instead, if a service member wants an abortion, they will have to pay for it out of pocket, which is, ironically to me at least, still going to be paid for by the taxpayer one way or the other. Depending on the method and timing, one could expect to pay from $500 to $2,000 for most abortions that Planned Parenthood offered, from what I got from the website from Planned Parenthood. Some service members can swing that pretty easily. Others might have to take out a loan or something like that. Still, others might not be able to get that done very well, and instead they were going to put the cost of the birth or whatnot to the taxpayer via the military medical system. I'm sure, however, that any kind of abortion ban of some sort, I'm sure that nothing bad would come of that. That was a little bit of sarcasm. Moving on, let's look at Project 2025's plan to value the military family. Increase military pay, improve base housing, consider the family when considering orders to go to another duty station, expand child care, reform license of service member spouses, which is going to step on some federalism toes, but let's be honest, I don't think Project 2025 cares about federalism when it comes to their pet projects. Project 2025 also wants to audit DoD schools to make sure there aren't any explicit books, and maybe do an education savings account for service member families. I have no real opinion about that, for or against, really, other than the idea that the fiscal conservatives are planning on spending a lot of money. But I suppose we should be expecting that by now. Finally, Project 2025 wants to reduce the number of generals because there are way too many. Fair enough, I can't fault them there. Let's get rid of some of them. Next section is about DoD intelligence. I'm sure you won't be surprised to learn that Project 2025 thinks there are some serious deficits here. So how does Project 2025 want to fix them? All right, so let's get to how Project 2025 would want to improve the intelligence process. The intelligence community has become a, quote, customer-based, unquote, model to support policy instead of just being objective. Again, same old jazz as before with everything else. They want to get the politics out of intelligence and streamline the bureaucracy, except sometimes decentralizing, which might not be streamlining. But regardless, there's some rebuilding of stuff that's been left by the wayside, and there's some China fear-mongering in there. There's some stuff about rebuilding trust, which the only way you can rebuild trust is by, well, fixing the intelligence process. So there's whatever, but really there's nothing special in the section that I'm saying. If you read through that part and you saw something interesting, let me know. But I think that will be it for this episode. We'll pick up next time on page 108 or page 141 of the PDF, discussing the Army. Maybe that will be really boring too, like the intelligence bit, and we can make some good progress getting through this. No controversies. I'm sure that'll be the case. Probably won't. But until next episode, take it easy.